Previously, who were working in one of the country's many cobalt mines. A charity has offered to educate and care for them. More than half of the world's supply of cobalt is in the DRC, and it's used extensively in things like smartphones. Multinational corporations have promised to improve conditions for the child miners, but as Sky special correspondent Alex Crawford found, there's little evidence of that in the former Katanga province. Here is her special report.
Children mining. The Democratic Republic of Congo is rich in minerals, but most are poor here, and the young are working everywhere. It's often the only way to survive. We're searching for two little boys we last saw months ago. It takes us 6 hours retracing our steps from the mining capital of Lubumbashi, mostly on unmade roads, into the heart of the former Katanga province. This is rough territory, and we complete the remaining 3 kilometers on foot.
Jumbo.
We're heading for a remote nomadic mining community hidden in the bush where we first spotted Dorsen and Richard. Then little Dorsen, at just 8 years old, was struggling in atrocious conditions to help with the cobalt mining. He and his friend Richard, standing next to him and just a few years older, worked all day for a pittance, often not enough for either of them to buy food. Dorsen was the image of misery. Both had little hope for the future. When we finally reach their village, it doesn't take long to track down both boys. Dorsen's father's been digging new tunnels, but he's found no cobalt for days, so the two haven't eaten.
Il faut tout obliger, pas qu'à tout partir. Comment tu vas kupata? Juu ya kusponsorize huyu na afundi. Sasa ajabolo kupata makuta. Mbo banizo tukondaneke aba watoto awafunde juu ya nini? Parce que ile makuta ishi tunapata aitusifiri.
Dorsen's father Yasant and his partner have already dug 6 meters into the ground. They have no protective equipment and few tools, just a couple of shovels, and they're doing this knowing their previous 3 tunnels have collapsed. But hunger is a powerful motivator. Dorsen's not allowed in the tunnel, it's too dangerous, but he and Richard help out on the surface, emptying the bags of soil almost as big as themselves, so the sacks can be filled again. There's a chance the boys can be educated.
Jean Bosco?
And Jean Bosco is the key. His organisation's offering to sponsor Dorsen and Richard at a boarding school more than 100 miles away in Lubumbashi. But the boys' fathers have to agree. Their decisions are immediate. They want the boys to be given a chance. It's Dorsen's first trip outside his village, so his father gives him a wash. With no water source close by, this is a very rare experience. Dorsen has never known anything but working on the mines. He's never known water to come out of a tap and never experienced electricity. This has been his home since he was 1 year old.
la pena que soporte parte del lugar.
He's saying goodbye to everything and everyone he's ever known. The two boys now face a very different future to those they leave behind, and they wave excitedly to their friends. They're accompanied by Richard's father, who'll check out the new school. Dorsen's father has work to do tunnelling. By the time we reach Lubumbashi, it's night time. It's an unrecognisable new world for the boys, with streets packed with traders and buyers. Waiting to greet them at the house where they'll stay for the next few months are their fellow students, a mixture of orphans and street children with no homes. The boys are shown round. This is run by the Kimbilio charity, which means Children's Sanctuary in Swahili. There's no electricity, but there are bathrooms, a proper roof, and for the first time, the boys will sleep on mattresses.
I
feel happy to be here.
What does it feel like being on a proper bed?
I feel very good because at my home I never sleep to the place like this.
Next morning, the boys have had a haircut and been given new clothes, and there's another first, breakfast of baguette and tea. From now on, they'll have 3 meals a day. Then it's into a classroom. They're getting a crash course in reading and writing, with more personal tutoring here before joining the local school. But for those more used to manual work, it takes a lot of concentration. The Kimbilio workers chat to Dorsen to learn about his daily life on the cobalt mine. The two boys are given their school uniforms. They have a chance to turn their lives round. Dorsen has never even owned a pair of shoes before. The bags on their backs will now be filled with school books rather than soil or minerals, but they leave behind countless other children still being exploited. Alex Crawford, Sky News in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Well, joining me now on Skype is Ian Harvey, the founder and director of that charity Kimbilio, taking care of the boys. Very good to talk to you, Ian. Now, very lucky young men, of course, Dorsen and Richard. What does the future hold for them?
Yeah, first of all, let me say we're absolutely delighted to have Dorsen and Richard with us and to be able to offer them the chance of a new hope and a new future. We hear that they've not ever actually attended school before, and we're going to be able to offer them a tutor who will come in and give them literacy skills, and then hopefully they will be able to introduce them to mainstream education in the new academic year in September, and of course that hopefully will lead on to many other opportunities for the future which they wouldn't have had if they'd remained in the mines where they were working with their fathers for over 3 years, as I understand.
I mean, education's so important, but what about that point that Alex Crawford made, that of course there may be thousands, maybe even millions more like those two?
We're ever so conscious of that, and we feel that, we're sometimes working and it's the tip of the iceberg that we're reaching, but we're really pleased to be able to be in that situation and have the opportunity to work with other children like Dorsen and Richard. And we're conscious, of all the supporters that we have through the UK, and we're looking for more supporters who will be able to help us reach out and support more children in the future who are in a similar situation as Dorsen and Richard.
Well, just give us a bit of background on the charity, and how did you come to set it up and why?
Sure, the charity is actually the Congo Children's Trust. That's the registered charity in the UK. I was involved in setting it up initially as I was an election observer in Kinshasa in the first democratic elections in 2006 and noticed the huge numbers of children on the street. I was working as a social worker in the UK at the time and felt I would like to be able to be involved in establishing more of a support system and project for children living in such desperation with very, very little support in their lives, really surviving on the streets. So I moved over to DRC in 2009 and stayed there for 5 years, setting up a day centre first of all, where children can come off the streets and receive basic level support, where we try to reintegrate them with their families if possible. If that doesn't work, we have 2 transit houses where they can have some stability for up to 3 or 4 months, where we try to reconnect them with their families. And from there, if children really cannot get back to their homes and families for whatever reason, we also have 2 longer-term homes where they can live with Congolese families in small community groups and be supported until the point where they are ready to reach independence, and we support them into that process as well.
Okay, Ian. Well, listen, fantastic talking to you. More power to your elbow, as the saying goes. Great hearing from you. Ian Harvey there, founder and director of Kimbilio, the Congo Children's Trust.